Hey everyone! If you're an EPC contractor, a factory buyer, or frankly anyone handling large-scale electrical procurement, you are in the exact right place today. Okay, let's dive into this technical explainer. We're zeroing in on busway system procurement, specifically unpacking the core content of the IEC 614396 standard. We're going to take what is normally just a dry supplier checklist and turn it into a really clear, actionable roadmap for your next big project.
So think back to your last major procurement cycle. You get a quote, and you ask yourself, is a low busway unit price truly a good deal? I mean, it's super tempting, right? You see that bottom line figure and think you just saved the project a fortune. But picture an iceberg. That attractive initial quote, that's just the tip sticking out of the water. Beneath the surface, there's this massive, heavy block of hidden costs just waiting to absolutely sink your budget and your timeline.
And here is the brutal reality we see out in the field time and time again. On one side, you've got this illusion of commercial savings. You're patting yourself on the back for a great deal. But on the other side, the high final project costs that land on your desk a few months later. What bridges that gap? Total chaos on the construction site. We're talking budget overruns from missing section codes, components that literally do not fit, or finding out you have zero joint torque documentation right when your team is ready to install. Suddenly, that quote-unquote cheap unit price is bleeding days of labor.
To stop that from happening, we're working through a 5-step checklist today. First, we'll look at the hidden busway costs. Second, defining the full route. Third, the core testing under IEC 614396. Fourth, delivery sequence and control. And finally, scoring your supplier's technical risk. This is a structured way to systematically evaluate your suppliers.
Let's move to Section 1, the hidden busway costs, and see how this builds into our first major pitfall in the project lifecycle.
Now, if you've spent any time at all on a job site, these common cost drivers will probably make you wince. Imagine this. Your installation team is geared up, cranes are ready, and bam! The section codes on the hardware completely mismatch your engineering drawings. Or your tap-off boxes show up, but they're in the completely wrong sequence for your phased installation. Or worst of all, the hardware is there, but there's absolutely no joint torque documentation, which means your guys can't safely or compliantly bolt the system together. These aren't just minor hiccups, they are massive operational bottlenecks that wipe out any upfront savings. So how do we actually prevent this from day one? It brings us right to Section 2, defining the full route, where we establish that true project scoping must always precede any baseline price comparison.
What's really interesting here is how this completely redefines the purchasing conversation. A full route package isn't just a basic bill of materials. It's a comprehensive scope definition. It ensures that every single necessary busway component, I mean every elbow, every flange, every tap-off box, along with all that vital documentation, is accounted for long before you even look at two different price tags. See, if Supplier A quotes a unit price on just raw copper and housing, but Supplier B quotes a full route package with installation guides and torque specs, you are not comparing apples to apples. Demanding this full route package is exactly how you kill those hidden costs dead in their tracks.
And once you've got that scope nailed down, you absolutely have to verify safety and performance, which brings us to Section 3, IEC 614396, core testing. This is frankly the absolute backbone of our evaluation checklist.
So, the crucial point is this. Type test evidence for busbar trunking under IEC 614396 is mandatory. It cannot be substituted. The core content of the IEC 614396 standard is incredibly rigorous. It dictates strict, hard parameters for thermal rise, structural integrity under fault conditions, and electrical resistance. A supplier simply can't hand you a partial test report or some generic safety certificate and call it a day. As a buyer, you have to demand authentic, specific type test evidence for the exact busbar trunking system you're buying. Zero compromises allowed here, guys, because this standard is literally the safety baseline for your facility's entire power distribution. But you know, having a perfectly scoped, perfectly tested busway system doesn't do you any good if it arrives on site in a chaotic mess. Let's shift our focus to Section 4, Delivery Sequence and Control, and talk about handling logistics for these massive project installations. For complex, phased factory sites, precision in delivery actually matters just as much as raw lead time. Step 1 is obvious, right? Establish your lead time. But Step 2 is where the smart EPCs really pull ahead. Enforce revision control. Things change on job sites constantly. If the structural layout shifts and your supplier isn't using strict revision control, they're going to ship you parts for a building that doesn't exist anymore. And then Step 3, Sequence tap-off box deliveries. You need specific tap-off boxes to arrive exactly when that corresponding floor or sector is ready for power, not sitting out in the mud for 3 months. You control the sequence, you control the project timeline.
We've covered a ton of ground here. Scope, standard compliance, logistics. Let's transition over to Section 5, Scoring Supplier Technical Risk, to give you a highly practical way to actually weigh all these factors.
And this brilliantly illustrates how you need to shift your view on procurement strategy. On the left side, you've got a purely commercial evaluation. This is what most people do, honestly. They just look at the unit price, pick the lowest one, and cross their fingers. But on the right is the technical risk evaluation. This is how the top-tier EPCs operate. They score suppliers heavily on their proven IEC 61439-6 compliance, their ability to execute precise delivery sequencing, and their commitment to quoting a true full scope. By shifting your scorecard from the left to the right, you aren't just buying hardware, you are actively buying down the technical risk of your entire project.
To make this a bit more concrete, the data provides us with a real gold standard benchmark, Shanghai, Xinma, Busway, and Cable Tray Company. When we talk about finding a supplier that actually meets this rigorous technical checklist, this is exactly what that profile looks like. They manufacture a really comprehensive suite: cable tray systems, busway, seismic bracing, intelligent cable management. And look at the sectors they serve: data centers, rail transit, massive industrial plants, commercial buildings. These are high stakes, zero downtime environments where getting that full wrap package right is absolutely critical.
But what truly cements them as a low-risk benchmark is their verifiable standard compliance. Notice the very first standard listed there, IEC 614396. They also carry certifications for IEC 61537, NEMA VE1, and GB 31251. Seeing a supplier profile like this proves that they aren't just out there quoting low unit prices. They've fundamentally engineered their manufacturing to align with the strictest, most uncompromising global testing standards. When a supplier readily hands over this level of type-tested evidence, your technical risk drops dramatically.
So I want to leave you with this provocative thought as we wrap up today's explainer. Does your current supplier actually pass this technical evaluation? Like, if you were to take this exact checklist, demanding a full route package, uncompromising IEC 614396 core testing evidence, and strict revision control on delivery, would your current vendor make the cut? Or are you unknowingly sitting on an iceberg of hidden costs right now? It might just be time to completely rethink your next procurement cycle. Thanks so much for joining me to explore this essential framework today, and keep learning.